Are you feeling okay? Maybe a little tired, a little burned out, a little jet lagged? Well, that's called daylight savings time change, and it's nuts. We need to end this craziness. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Now, a year or three ago, Oregon, Washington, even British Columbia, basically the northern West Coast states. See, the farther north you are, the more exaggerated are the seasonal swings in terms of daylight. If you live on the equator, you've got 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness year-round. It never changes. If you live at the North Pole, you've got about a month where you've got an entire day where the sun never sets and an entire month, more or less, where you have an entire day where the sun never rises. And so the farther you get, the closer you are to the North Pole, the farther north you go, the more exaggerated these time swings become. So the northern part of the West Coast, Oregon, Washington State, British Columbia, we all voted a couple of years ago to say enough, get rid of this switch. Now, there is some debate about whether we should go permanent daylight savings time, which is what we have right now, or whether we should go permanent regular time, which is what we just left. And the night owls want permanent daylight savings time, and the morning people want permanent regular savings time. And I'm fine with either, frankly. I just don't want the change. And I don't want the change because it's bad. It's not just bad business policy, it's bad public health policy. Marco Rubio reintroduced the so-called Sunshine Protection Act, which would make daylight savings time the permanent time of the United States. And Ron Wyden, one of my senators, has co-signed it. I'm okay with that. I'd prefer regular time, but I'll take daylight savings time. I'll take anything if we don't have to change these things. Maria Cantwell, who's one of the senators from Washington State, which has also voted to end daylight savings, or to end the switch by citizen referendum. Maria Cantwell is now the chair of that committee, the Senate Commerce Committee, that oversees daylight savings time. Now, we have two states, Arizona and Hawaii, that completely ignore the change. Puerto Rico doesn't, which is not a state, but a U.S. territory, ignores the change. They stick to standard time year-round. I think we should be doing what Arizona is doing and stick with standard time. Arizona and Hawaii. Now, Hawaii, again, they don't have that huge a seasonal variation. They're not on the equator, but they're in that direction. But there is an actual consequence to these switches. Not so much to the daylight savings time or lack of it itself, but to the change. Because what you're doing is you're producing jet lag. And it takes a few weeks to recover. Dr. Mary Gillis, writing over at wishtv.com, notes, there are consequences following the clock change, such as an increase in heart attacks, strokes, work-related accidents, suicides, and motor vehicle accidents. And she points out that sleep-deprived teen drivers, kids trying to drive to school in the morning, this would be high school kids and college kids, are particularly hard hit, and the effects by the time change, and the effects can be deadly. She says, you've got these teenagers who are sleepy. They have an uptick in their accident rate. One statistic shows there was a 6% increase in traffic fatalities in the week following the spring clock change. So why do we do this? I get it, the backstory. There were these two guys who wanted more time to play golf, and they were kind of single-handedly responsible for this. They got the whole golf lobby on board, and they lobbied Congress and made it happen. But really? Do we really need daylight savings time? 15 states have already voted to extend daylight savings time year-round. But it really is going to require a federal bill to nationalize it, as it were. And Marco Rubio, again, like I said, and Ron Wyden are pushing this. Rubio cited reduced rates of crime, traffic accidents, and less seasonal affective disorder. What is, the acronym is SAD, S-A-D, and it's a condition that people get where they're not exposed to enough sunlight, and therefore they end up with depression. Most health experts say that there is not only no good biological reason to change the time twice a year, but the studies show that people get better sleep during standard time because the bright morning light and the reduced evening light help make them fall asleep easier.